pastors and people design church to be the kind of church they want to be. Now, I just want to tell you, we don't get to do that. Christ is the head of the church. There is this doctrine that we call ecclesiology in the Bible, and he tells us how to do church. We want to do church for the purposes and the ends for which he tells us to do it. We want to do it in the ways. We want the elements that Scripture prescribes to be the elements of our worship, acceptable worship before him. So we don't get to design church. But this is huge in our nation right now. Oh, we've decided that we're going to be a church for the unchurched. And here's a very, very popular, very, very common little saying or a little mantra. It's we want to be a church that the unchurched people will love. Jesus didn't have a church meeting that the unchurched people loved. No, when Jesus was done, they said, I don't want any more of that. Jesus, you should have designed the service differently. You should have crafted your sermon differently so that they would go home and say, well, that was actually pretty good. I really like that. I want to come back for more. So what pastors will actually do is they want to plant a church somewhere, and this has become famous, and a lot of people have done this because one guy, his name is Rick Warren, really made it big back then, and others before him and with him. And that is where you want to plant a church, you get your clipboard, and you go around the neighborhood and you knock on doors and say, ma'am, do you go to a church? No, we don't. Oh, can I just talk to you for a second? Stick your foot in the door. Can we just talk for a minute here? I'm planning a church, and I want to know, what kind of church would you want to go to? How would it be designed so that you would come? And then you write down their answers, and then you write down their answers, and then you write down, and then you make that church. I have the feeling that Jesus in the book of Revelation with the 7 churches of Asia Minor, when he says to one of those churches, you make me barf, I have a feeling Jesus wants to barf about designer churches that are designed to please worldlings who don't have hearts for Christ, who don't have saving light in their souls, who are dead in their trespasses and sins. More pastors need to be more offensive. Not boorishly, but just by proclaiming what's actually in the Word and let it do its work. And like Jesus in the synagogue in Capernaum, they were offended. Jesus didn't say, oh man, well, I'll never preach that message again. I better change that. Can't have people getting offended. No, Jesus did not come into Capernaum and do statistical market research. He didn't bring along a team of sociologists, of psychologists, people who can analyze things. He didn't rebrand. He didn't avoid the hard topics.